Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast Q&A. I'm your host, Dan Rolinson, joined by John Townley. For John, 11 in a row. Can you believe it? 11. Mad.
Yeah, it's crazy. Villa's form is bordering on the ridiculous now. 111 years since we last achieved that, and of course
111, is it?
111. Yeah, 11 and 111. Actually, it was a late night, obviously, after the Chelsea match. And one of the top lines of one of my pieces was, "You'd have to be 111 years old to remember the last time Villa won 11 in a row." I woke up in the morning and I read it back and thought, you probably don't remember it.
Got to be at least 120.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're in a special place at the moment. There's still a lot, I think, for this club to achieve under Unai Emery, but right now it's as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, absolutely. How was your Christmas, by the way? This is the first episode that we've done together since then. Did you have a nice time?
Yeah, it was pretty low-key, to be honest. I still feel like we're in October, to be fair. Like, this year's just gone really
weird, isn't
quickly.
it? It's not very Christmassy.
No, and bit of bar humbug, but I'm kind of glad that it's passed, to be honest with you. Yeah, it was a bit of a distraction for the things that are going on. So I'm happy just to plough straight forward into the new year now.
Yeah, okay. Any New Year's resolutions? Are you that kind of guy? Doesn't strike me as you being that kind of guy.
No, again, because I think January will feel like November for me. So I think it would be false of me to...
I'll ask you in February then.
Yeah, Chinese New Year, mate. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
No, I don't do resolution. Do you?
No, not particularly. I desperately need to lose a bit of weight. I mean, anyone who's very, very eager-eyed. Yeah, but I've gained it all again.
Have you?
Especially in the last week or so. Yeah. Okay. The eagle-eyed amongst you, which won't be many, I don't think. I am actually standing up for this episode. I've got a standing desk, so I thought for a change I'd do an episode stood up, so I can wiggle about, John. I can move around if I want to. I won't do because that'd be silly. But I wanted to kind of move more. Is my New Year's resolution. So standing for an hour or however long this takes. I did
notice at the start. This won't be a shorter episode for anyone watching. Like, it's not an endurance test for Dan or anything like that. That'd be quite something. But
I think we should make this 1 hour and 11 minutes to go with our 11 winning run in our 111 year history of last doing it. Let's make this episode 1 hour and 11 minutes. Let's squeeze it out as far as we can.
We can try, yeah.
1 hour, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. Let's see whether I can do that in the edit. Okay. Q&A time, we'll get to in a sec. There's absolutely loads. This will be a long episode and we'll try and get through as many as we can. We had so much correspondence in the mailbag and I've got, 15 or so on the document next to me. And there was way more than that. And I've picked some where people are saying similar things to each other. Just your general thoughts, John. We uploaded the walk and talk this morning. Nope. We uploaded the walk and talk on Sunday morning, 28 minutes. I thought that's a decent chunk there. It's 11 in a row. It's a big occasion. Let's get a nice big chunky John Townley video out there as well. So I've listened to some of your thoughts, although I will admit I didn't listen to all of it, knowing that we were going to do this as well. Yeah. I just, the biggest thing for me, and I keep saying it, and I know it's not very interesting, I suppose, but I just can't believe it. I can't believe that we're this good. Because we're not, I still don't think we're playing particularly well. Certainly across the whole game, we often start poorly in the first half. But I always thought we'd improve after the first 5 games. And I said as much in those games. We will get better and I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay for a European place still. But nobody could see this coming. And I said the same after the 7th win in a row and the 8th win in a row. And now it's up to an 11. And whether it goes to 12 or not, we'll obviously find out on Tuesday evening. But I still can't quite wrap my head around it. It doesn't seem possible that we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's especially that Chelsea game, as said in that walk and talk. I'm still a little bit stunned that we've won that game because
that felt like a massive one to me.
Yeah, it almost felt, and don't take this the wrong way, but it almost felt like a win that we'd get some years ago when we're not particularly good, and it'll be like, this is the win of the season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You like all of a sudden you get one of those, and I think we won there 3-1. Was it like Stephen Ireland or something? Some years back now, it felt almost like that. But it's the 11th win in a row, so you can't take the sort of I don't know if we are underdogs anymore in some of these games, but I definitely felt like we played like that. Chelsea were the dominant side for 60 minutes, and we were on the back foot. We were second best. But then, a click of a finger and 3 players are on the pitch and the game is completely turned and we win it. And I really didn't feel under threat, to be honest, even by those last 25 or so. After we'd equalised, it didn't feel like Chelsea were then going to return and respond as you'd maybe expect them to. I think actually it said more about our experience and possibly know-how as well to get through that game and everything that Chelsea aren't, I feel, at the moment as well. So, I actually wrote last night saying the kind of classic point about Chelsea, the kind of money that they've spent compared to Villa. But also, I think we're probably closer to winning a title than what Chelsea are, which is madness, considering... Again, after every summer window, you always, well, not me, but some people may look at Chelsea and think, oh, well, they've strengthened again. I don't see it. I think they're just stocking youth talents, and I really don't understand why. Go and buy the best players on the market if you've got the money to do so. But that's another kind of conversation. But to be ahead of Chelsea down the line to possibly winning a title, and that's the madness for me. And I'm not saying we're going to do it because I don't think we will, and I don't think we will win a title race come April, to be perfectly honest with you, and that's okay. I don't mind, but I'm pretty certain that Chelsea won't be, and to be 10 points ahead of them now is an achievement in itself. But to also be vastly better than them, I think, over the course of 3 years, and for them, it's been like a 3-year period since Abramovich or thereabouts. Since he went, and then for us, Unai joining, and we've been a better football club over that time. Easily, it was only last season, of course, that they finished above us, and even then by 3 points. So it was funny because Maresca said after the match that 10 points isn't a reflection of what he saw on the pitch. Well, we won. So I don't know what he was talking about, to be perfectly honest with you. I understand to a point of, we played better than for 60 minutes. That's all well and good, mate. You need to play for 95, 90, 98, 100 minutes. That's a football match. You don't win a football match in an hour.
We won it in half an hour.
I thought it was ridiculous though, because you earn the points that you get, right? If you don't win a match, that's on you, to be honest. So yeah, we're 10 points ahead of them, and no one deserves to be that many points ahead of another team. And then they call it a fluke or whatever. Like that's not the case. We deserve to be where we are based on the last 3 months.
It's a kind of interesting thing I was thinking about before we came on to record this. I said a few weeks ago, I don't know what win it was then, the 6th or the 7th, I don't know. I think we'll finish in the Champions League places. That was my prediction then, and I absolutely stand by that. How can you not feel like that today? And maybe we'd lose, I don't know, 6 games in the next 10 or something, and we go, well, actually, it's a little bit shaky now, but we've built up such a buffer, we probably wouldn't even move much with a few defeats at least, maybe not 6. But it's, for me, if you don't believe that we're going to get into the Champions League, I don't really know what you're seeing at the moment. But what comes with that is I'm like a 100% certain we'll be in Europe again. And that'll be the 4th year in a row for the club. And for Emery, the 20th or whatever it is. And that's kind of gone under the radar because we've surpassed our expectations so quickly of this year could be a struggle to, are we in a title race? We're certainly in the race for the Champions League.
Yeah.
That I'd be stunned, and I don't even think it's possible, for us to finish lower than 7th would mean another year in Europe, and that's still a big deal for the club as well, just to constantly be up there. That's difficult for clubs to do.
Yeah, I think maybe the reason why that hasn't been mentioned is because, and I don't know about you, Dan, but I didn't doubt that we would still compete for European football this season, even after...
No, but I think after the first few games, it was a bit like, if we finish top half...
Yeah, it definitely felt bad, but we kept saying it's such a long time to go this season. Granted, I didn't think we'd win, 17 out of 19 afterwards, but I did think that come the back end of the campaign, we'd be pushing for Europe in what capacity, I don't know, or winning the Europa League or whatever it may be. But actually, last season, after we'd lost that game to Palace 4-1, that felt like a genuine, I'm not sure if we're going to get back into Europe now, because there's not a long period left of the campaign. We had to go on a run of form. And by the way, there was in the end a bit of a buffer between us and 8th place or whatever last season. But we needed those wins to get into European football, not to try and just get into the Champions League. So when people say, but the Rashford gamble didn't pay off, or getting to Sassy, what was the point in that? Well, to get back into European football, if nothing else. But no, I think it's a good point you make there. It's not something I've heard that, at the moment.
Just kind of taken for granted that I'm fully expecting we'll be in Europe again next year, at least the Europa League.
I think it's a disaster if we're not from here.
Yeah. but that's something that should be celebrated, for want of a better word. But I think it was Champions League anyway. I saw a graphic. I think the Athletic did it of the results before the Liverpool defeat as well, and it was it 4 wins on the spin, and then in the Premier League, and then the defeat to Liverpool, and then is it 8 now in the Premier League?
8 in a row in the league.
8 in a row. So to have won, what's that? 12 out of 13 games in the Premier League, and we probably shouldn't have lost to Liverpool either. Again, it's remarkable. Let's get into some questions. We're going to go around the houses here. Okay, first one. What is it that Unai Emery has or can do that gets such an elevated level of performance from a lot of the players that Dean Smith had? Does Unai just see the game differently? Is it how he understands the way football games work and how to play with and against? Obviously, both managers, Dean and Unai, understand coaching and management way more than us mere mortals. And at the elite level, a lot can be down to fine margins. Could it be coaching, tactics, man management, or parts of each, or something even different than that? And that was from Stevie in Liverpool, which I assume is a nod to our former manager, who was not as good as Unai Emery. It's an interesting point, though, and something I've never really thought about. What makes a good manager a good manager?
Multiple things. We have, I think, the second best manager in the Premier League. We're not talking about a manager who's just how do you put it? We have an elite coach. We've known this for some time, but at the same point, players need to go on a journey with different coaches as well. And I think you have to credit Dean Smith for taking Cash from the Championship, taking Watkins from the Championship. Martinez, I guess, was a kind of a different situation because you obviously had Neil Cutler in that moment. But would have, and I know Rodgers kind of speaks for this, but would Emery have also signed a lot of players from the Championship at that time and brought them onto that level? I think, yeah, possibly so. But would he have the instinct to have signed an Ollie Watkins from Brentford when instead there may have been other options? So different managers recruit different players. But if it was such an easy thing to do and an easy thing to explain, then Unai Emery wouldn't be the only
true.
kind of top coach now in the last 20 years of our history. So yeah, Dean Smith absolutely served a purpose for this. I mean, that understates it, serving a purpose, Jesus, getting us promoted, but also keeping us up and recruiting mostly the players that are still there now in pushing us forward, and Unai's taking that onwards. And as you say there, and the question from Stevie in Liverpool, he's a top coach, and for that reason, I think he can take most players and mould them to be better. I think you're seeing that partially with Sancho at the moment. I think a lot of it has to come from him, kind of going into a different territory here. But Sancho's clearly got quality. It's about getting it out of him. And I think if Sancho applies himself, the rest will follow. It just seems to be, if you're willing to learn and willing to put in the yards, you'll be fine. And we've seen that with other players like Rashford, for example, joins Villa and everyone talks about how it's an attitude problem. He doesn't train correctly. What a load of rubbish that was. And look where he is now. So yeah, if you're willing to work under Unai, you're going to get better. And I do think there was certainly part of when he joined Villa, he probably looked across the squad and thought, I can bring out another 20, 30, 40% of some of these players.
Yeah.
And that will obviously make us a better team. Whereas, for example, Danny Ings, he views that as, well, that's not the future of Aston Villa. We'll get rid of him and then we'll promote Ollie Watkins and make him even better. So, yeah, when he took over Unai, that must have been a big plus for him to taking the job.
Okay, I'm going to do 2 here. Gus, first of all, says, I used to say it as a joke, but now I'm serious. Unai employs a rope-a-dope strategy. I've seen it too many times for it to be a coincidence. And from Brad Friedel's Razor, I think the repeatedly poor first-half performances are sort of intentional. Obviously, they don't intend to play poorly and give up goals, but I think Emery instructs the team to sit deep, soak up pressure, and conserve energy, which creates ugly, stodgy matches. And sometimes they'll end up down a goal or 2. Emery knows his squad isn't deep enough to play high-energy football for 90 minutes every 3 or 4 days, so instead he's gambling that half an hour with his preferred 11 is enough to win the match. And lately, that gamble has been paying off more often than it doesn't, like it did at Chelsea. I've had this crazy fan theory for a few weeks, but after the Chelsea game, the pundits on American TV, hello from Virginia, by the way, suggested something similar, which I have seen a clip of.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this before, almost in the jokey way that Gus says, of like, do we intend to like start badly and like draw teams in and then kill them in the second half? Nah, surely not. But we have seen it so many times now that it doesn't feel coincidental. It's mad.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a kind of a science behind it. I mean, the results we're getting suggest that there is. But if you offer Unai Emery the chance of going 1-0 behind against Arsenal, would he take that? Yeah, I think that's actually the
At
question.
the moment, he might.
Yeah, I think it's more the way we're setting up. That much is clear. I don't think we want to go behind, but we are evidently setting up in a certain way away from home. Whether that's inviting the home team on. I mean, there's more to it and there's more detail behind the tactics and whatnot that we can't get into in this specific episode. But yeah, we don't want to fall behind in the game. That's true, but then also true that we're happy to run that risk, if that makes sense. And yeah, what I would say though about the Chelsea game, would we have won that match if it was Buendia and Marlon coming on rather than Watkins and Sancho, or I don't know, some Barkley instead of Onana? I'm not totally sure, so I do think that worked for us, if that makes sense. Do you know where I'm coming from there?
Yeah, because that won't always happen. The question there kind of implies that we finished with a better 11. And in terms of personnel, you can argue, is Watkins better than Marlon, or is Onana better than who did he come on for? I can't remember. Possibly not, in different roles. Are some players better than others? Yeah, maybe. But I've said a few times, haven't I, about I feel like the players at the end of the game aren't as good as the ones that started it, but they somehow found a way to get us over the line. So it's hard to say which is the preferred 11 for Unai, but clearly those changes are winning us games. And whether that's of course it's intentional, he's making changes to affect the game, but whether it's intentional to go into it as right, let's just get to half time, stodge it out, stink the place out, frustrate people, and then we'll kick into gear at half time. If you're only a goal down, that is probably worth the risk, because you can overcome that pretty quickly. If Chelsea were on top form on Saturday and scored 3 in the first half, that strategy is completely out the window then, because that's too hard to overcome. But we don't get pumped by teams. We don't have these big goal deficits to try and overcome. It usually is only 1 goal, isn't it? It was Brighton 2, I think, was it? And we came back in that. But generally, they only tend to be a 1-goal swing that if you do get into it pretty quickly, as Watkins does, scoring a couple of minutes after coming off the bench, you then get half an hour, pretty much, to go and win the game at 1-1 with fresh legs. And we've seen that so often now that it has to be just part of the plan and part of the strategy of managing the squad that we have throughout the amount of fixtures that we have.
Yeah, in this 11-match winning run, I think is it only Bournemouth that we've Maccabi, quickly load it, sorry. Bournemouth and Maccabi at the start of this 11-match winning run, but after that, it's only been 1-goal swings in all of the wins that we've had. So we are on a fine line, and I do want to say that we're not going to continue to win. We will lose or draw at some point, maybe sooner rather than later, but that's okay. I want to kind of get it in there that I do think a lot of outsiders will just suggest that we've fallen away, or they're not. Told you they weren't very good. Come on.
You can't do that. You can't do that after 1 defeat, because we've built up a buffer. We can lose 2 or 3 games before we even drop any lower than 3rd.
Yeah, but I just think because a lot of outsiders view this as they only win games by 1 goal, and there's this XG account that everyone seems to hail as God's gift, and everyone thinks it's gospel, and it's just there's so much more to this, and I actually think the 11-match winning run has been defined by those away matches where we have come back from behind, and I think you deserve even more credit for doing that. I just feel like a lot of people are trying to take away from Villa winning 11 football matches in a row, 8 in the Premier League, we've beaten this season
City,
anyway, Arsenal and City. You've won at Chelsea, you've won at Tottenham. I mean, everyone wins at Tottenham these days, but you get my point. This hasn't been a fluke. We haven't all of a sudden played the worst 11 teams or worst 8 teams in the Premier League or whatever. Even then, that's a success. So I just feel like there's a lot of people trying to take it away from us and find reasons of actually it's not that, whatever. But it's rubbish.
I saw Arsenal fans saying I think so. Chelsea fans are describing it as Villa aren't that good. It's just a purple patch, which is the biggest purple patch I've ever seen of not even just this season, but over the course of 3 years or Emery's reign. We are still 4th with something like 220 points or something, which is about 20 points ahead of the teams behind us and quite a way away from City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, but comfortably the 4th best team in England since Emery arrived. So this is not a purple patch. Yeah. But I also saw Arsenal fans described it as when Emery was at Villa, he had this lucky 22 game unbeaten run. Lucky 22 games unbeaten. What do you mean? How have you watched that team of your own?
22 games, that's double what we've just done.
Yeah. Oh, it's just luck though, John.
He
has these moments. I think it was 22. It was either 22 or 12. I'm sure it was 22. obviously they were in the Europa League at that time as well, and they probably, they do expect to win all the time, I suppose, because it's different expectations. But this idea of, like you say, that there's always got to be a sucker punch of like, oh, Villa are doing well, but it's just luck, or their XG's low. It's like, no. Just allow Villa to be good. It's fine.
Yeah. And that's kind of my point of when it stops, people will say, I told you they're not as good as what they were. Well, that doesn't make sense because apparently Arsenal are the best team in this. Well, statistically they are in the Premier League and in the Champions League, but Villa beat them a few weeks ago. And no one suggested that, Arsenal aren't actually that good. No, it's just not. It's, there's just something about this run that as we said then, I think we can play better. But I just think a lot of people are trying to take it away from us and suggest otherwise, that it's not actually that impressive. If you win 11 games in a row, that is 36 out of 39 points. That's remarkable. I want to know how many teams have done that. I don't have the stats to hand, but how many teams in the last 10 years have actually done that?
There'll be a handful of teams in the league that don't get that many points all season. And I would know that we are obviously aim to be better than those teams anyway. But for that, to get that amount of points over that course of 11 games, it's just madness. 14 games, whatever it is. We were saying, weren't we, about if you want to get to 70 odd, you need 10 more wins if you beat Arsenal, 9 more if you beat United, 8 more if you beat. We're now at that point where we just keep winning, and the target of wins needed is one less every single week, and it makes hopefully the back end of the season a little easier.
Throw a bit of maths at you, just a little bit. Okay, so last 10 years, the team who finished 5th in the I know that's pessimistic, but I'm just giving like a buffer of most likely the Champions League places. 67.7 points is the average for 5th place in the last 10 Premier League seasons. The last 6 is 66 points. We're obviously on 39, so 8-9 wins, something like that should pretty much get you home and hosed, and I think we're more than capable of doing that.
Me too.
So
I'd actually be quite underwhelmed if we only won 8 more games.
No. I'm just giving the sort of. I don't want that to be like, oh, why is he talking about? I'm just painting the picture of where we are. Like, what does this actually mean? 39 points after 18 games is the same that we had a couple of seasons ago. So we've never had more than what we have now in a Premier League season after 18 games, I think. And then just quickly some matches that we've got coming up in the second half of the season. Well, we play everyone, don't we?
But we do play everybody, John, yeah.
At home, Forest, Everton, Brentford, Brighton, Leeds. 5 games that I think we'd all expect or will be favourites to win. Oh, you've also got West Ham and Sunderland in there as well, and Spurs. And then, so that's 9 home matches plus trips to Bournemouth, Wolves, Forest, Fulham and Burnley. There's more than enough opportunity there to get the wins that would get us to in and around that 70-point mark. So just kind of fleshing out what we said earlier about, if you're not thinking that we're, in a great position for the Champions League, we are. And there's still work to do of course there is, but we're in a really strong position, a position that I really don't think that we could have wished to have been in even some weeks ago. And then just finally, 2 seasons ago, when we were in this exact same position, we picked up the 8th most points in the Premier League in the second half of the season. I think it was something like 26 or so points. We finished on 68 in the end. So we know we've got to pretty much do the same, but slightly better, should we say? Because we did tail off a little bit, didn't we? We didn't match exactly how well we did, which was fantastic in that first half, but there was an underperformance to a point because of the Conference League. So that's why I keep saying knockouts of the Europa League for me there'll be as much I say pressure, but for me there will be, but you're going to be a favourite to win that competition, and the games will also be harder than what you face in the Conference League. More experience, etc., etc. So hopefully balance yourself out, but a couple of more injuries than what we have already, and we'd be in trouble in terms of the squad, I think. So that's to come as well.
And just a comparison to the 23-24 season after the same amount of games, as you referenced then, 18 games, 39 points, exactly the same as this year, and 3rd place. Just a very quick comparison between the two. Arsenal top both times, 42 at the moment, 40 last time. Liverpool was second with 39. Man City are second this year with 40. But the difference is the teams behind us. Liverpool in 4th now, 7 points behind us. 4th in the year, we were 3rd, was Spurs, 4 points behind us. 7 points behind us. 5th in the Premier League, Liverpool, 6th, 7 points behind us. 7th in the year, we were 3rd, was Spurs, just 3 points behind us. Man City, 34 points. West Ham 30 points in 6th. Jesus Christ, West Ham. This year drops down to Chelsea 29, Man United 29, Sunderland 28. A 10-point gap now takes you to Chelsea in 5th. A 10-point gap in the year we've qualified for the Champions League took you down to 7th. So the buffer of the teams behind us this season is so much more comfortable that we can have a bit of a drop off and then go, right, sort yourselves out now because you've got, you've allowed a bit of a sticky patch. Teams have closed that gap a little bit. You've now got to kind of lock in again and go for it. The year that we finished 4th, we always had Spurs on our tail all season. And there'd be times where they'd win and go above us and we'd have to win to go above them again. And it was always nip and tuck. This year we can afford to have a bit of a drop off. And I don't expect us to have that drop off, to be honest, the way we're playing at the moment. I know the Europa League is a thing. And like you say, this run will not last forever. We will lose games. But I just... From what we've seen so far, I don't see us having a period of 4 or 5 games where we don't win. We might lose a couple, but then we'll bounce back and win 2 or 3 again. And do you know what I mean? And that will be enough to build up the points you need.
Just off the back of some good points that you raised there. Firstly, other teams will have knockouts in Europe as well in the Champions League.
True.
So City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea, they'll all be going for deep runs in the Champions League. And how will that impact them? Obviously, we're in a similar situation. Secondly, I just want to quickly say about the title race. There might be some people saying, well, it's all that title race. I really don't think it's valid until April. Just putting it out there. This isn't us being negative. I must stress that. 27 or so minutes into this podcast.
And the day before we play Arsenal and potentially beat them.
Yeah, of course. But we could beat Arsenal. I'd tell you exactly the same. We could beat Arsenal 6-0 and I'll tell you exactly the same thing. You don't know if you're in a title race until April, especially us, who we have no experience of winning a league title. So I just wanted to kind of make that. We should probably said it at the start.
Premier League title.
This probably isn't. If you want to hear us talk about how we can probably win the league, like earlier in the season, we said we could probably get relegated because we don't know where you are now compared to where you finish in the season. That's up to you and your performances. And at the moment, it's going great. We are in a title race. We're not out of one, but are we going to win the league? No idea. That is so far away in the future for me that it's not worth really giving much airtime to be perfectly honest. And then my other point, I knew would go because I had 3 points to raise. And if it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
Okay, all right. Well, we know Villa are good at picking up 3 points, so maybe it'll come back to you.
Oh, I've got a point. It's something that I've raised before. Just simply the who is going to finish above Villa segment. Is it Palace? Surely not. We may lose to them. That's just how the world works. But will they finish above us? I don't think they will. Newcastle, Tottenham, Man United, Brighton, Sunderland. Those are the teams, or one of those teams. And that's what it's going to have to take for us to fall out of the top 5, right?
Yeah.
That's correct, yeah. So you've got Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, and us. I think at the moment will be the 5 teams that people expect to be around there. After that, unless United put some serious form and your chap gets a haircut, I don't see it. So as much as it's up to us to do our business,
you've still got to be caught.
Yeah, exactly that.
If you don't,
we don't. Maybe it's 65 points to get you 5th place, and you want to finish as high as you can. I hope that we win the league. Obviously, I hope we finish 2nd or 3rd, or as high as you possibly can. But 5th place could be likely the same reward as finishing 3rd.
Yeah. Should we do some more questions?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I keep forgetting it's Q&A. I think just me and you chatting it's the abyss.
This one's from Gabby's Goatee. After the victory against Chelsea, where we once again came from behind to win, Villa have now won 18 points from losing positions, which would be incredible if it was across a full season, let alone after 18 games. Over the past 3 seasons, we've won 54 points from losing positions, more than any other club. How much of this resilience and belief comes down to how Unai has shaped the mentality of the squad? I've included this one, not for the remarkable stat, which it is, but for the shift that we've had as a fan base of when we did the end of season show at Hockley Live, Hockley Social Club Live in June, and we'd had the final day of the season had happened and Crystal Palace at Wembley, the 2 notable ones. The biggest discussion we had when fans wrote down their questions on bits of paper and put them in a box, at the halftime break when we were going through them, it was like, what's wrong with Villa's mentality? Why can't they hold on to big games? Why can't they finish in big moments? And it was everyone can't answer that one because we've already done 3 on that. There was loads about it. Yeah. The difference in like Villa's mentality shift from then to now is incredible because now we all sit around and go, well, is it Villa's mentality that actually allows them to perform to this level? Now I'm still waiting for a big kind of all or nothing game to see if we truly have got over that.
Yeah.
And I know the Premier League games are big moments, and I've said before, it's about consistency over a period of time, and that will put you up in the league where you deserve to be. But I need to see us get over the line in an FA Cup semi-final or a Europa League final or something to go, yes, okay, we are now kind of mentality monsters or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, for me, it is different. You can show mentality in different ways, considering sorry, Gabby's, what was it? Who asked this question?
Gabby's go-to.
Gabby's go-to. Considering Gabby's go-to's point about the 3-year period of Emery and that no teams won more points from losing positions, there isn't a change here that we can talk about. It's just a continuation of coming from behind. And I think that is because in that moment, you are the underdog. You are not expected to win this match if you are losing it in most occasions, right? So when you go 2-0 down at Brighton, no one really expects Villa to win. When you go down at Leeds, maybe Villa could come back, but few teams do it as often. No team has done it as often as Villa has. It's completely different for me when you're the favourite to do something. That's the difference to me. And so as you say that, then I won't repeat exactly what you've said, but those tests will come for us. If we stay in the top 4, top 5 until April, and all of a sudden teams are rising beneath us and there's real pressure on us then to keep that position, that's a different situation to what it is now, which is just continue punching and punching and punching. Yeah, we're looking at the league table, sure the players are as well, but it's still so early. It's not even halfway through the season yet. We're not there yet. The pressure comes when there's expectancy and you're expected to get over the line because of everything you've done previously.
And we are still seeing that. We are still seeing that with the chance to win a historic 8th in a row.
Yeah, there is.
There is pressure on that, and you've gone behind and away from home, and you've still to dig in and work hard and fight for it. And I get all that.
Yeah.
And we have got over the line in other occasions, the game that seals the top 4.
But when you're
they're big moments.
Yeah.
But cup games are different.
Yeah. And when you're a player, you're in the zone. When Ollie Watkins was speaking in the mix zone, he said that he wasn't even aware of the 111 thing. The 11 wins in a row is the joint most of a club record. They're not even aware. They're just in the zone, and Emery will coach the game. Next game. Some of them might not even be aware that it's a record if you win 12 in a row, apart from maybe McGinn or a couple of others. Now Watkins potentially, but it's huge for us fans. But as players, they don't look back on their career and think, "I was part of that team that set a club record winning run for Aston Villa." Of course, that's a massive thing if they achieve it, but it's not winning a trophy. It's not a tangible, physical thing. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, finishing 4th over the course of a season is that. Those are the things that can separate players and speak of the mentality that we're talking about. So yeah, we got over the line a couple of seasons ago. I just felt like we had such a strong buffer. That's a strong buffer. We were going so well, and yeah, we had Spurs chasing us, but still everyone was putting us down. I remember Gary Neville talking. Gary Neville is not someone to just look at or hear and just presume it's correct, but when he was talking in April, or it was even the start of May, saying that United would catch Villa or whatever it was, he never thought Villa would get in there. He wasn't just the only one. There was obviously other people too still thinking that Villa wouldn't get in there, and we held on to it, almost like we had a point to prove, and we are, again, the underdogs in that pack. We're no longer the underdogs in the Premier League. We're underdogs in the title race, but I think almost everybody now will expect us to be in the Champions League. So how will we cope with that in March or April, when or if we don't win for 3? Because we've got Europa League commitments as well. Because that can happen, injuries, suspensions, whatever it may be. It's coping with setbacks that I think is really important for us, and dealing with an expectancy that we haven't dealt with, I don't think, too well under Emery. But it's nitpicking. But now is the time to win and get over the line, and for different reasons.
Next one from Wheelhouse. Just a quick one. What is the little stain in the top middle of some Villa players' shirts? I remember Ramsey last year had it all the time, and now I've seen it on Rodgers before the Chelsea game. Are Villa players vomiting before these big occasions, or is there a neat explanation? Are you aware of this, John?
Yeah, it helps you breathe.
It used to be like vapor rub, right? Is it still
I don't know when the question, but if you were watching Villa when Ashley Young was tearing down the wing, you'd know about it. So maybe this is from a younger listener. It used to be all the rage back in the day, back in the Barclays era, and before that, big kind of sticky patch on everybody's chest. Yeah. It's like vapor rub, isn't it, to open up the airways, the minty smell or whatever. Is it minty?
It's kind of.
I think if you were in Sunday League, you'd probably get clattered. Really try hard. So,
I've like, had it when I've been ill and stuff. Kind of opens up the
That's the. I fully expect Paddy Power to do something. I don't know when Flu's going around, wearing his shirt with his Vapor on it.
Vicks Vapor Rub. I presume it's still the same. Whether it's anything different or not, I don't think so. You don't see it as often these days as you used to, though.
No. You're right. I did catch my eye the other day. Just I saw it and I thought it was a big splodge of it on Rodgers' shirt, and I did think actually I don't think I've seen that for a while, but yeah, it's back.
Probably something against modern medical science in the woke age of football that's not allowed for some reason. But bring it back, I say. From Ben, I don't realistically think the league title is possible, but keep consistent. I genuinely think we could wrap up Champions League by March or April. What a great position that would be to be in. And this is kind of what we touched on a little bit. Whether it is wrapped up as early as March, April potentially, yes. Obviously, depending on how many games we win between now and then. I said this in a previous episode, that is exactly the perfect scenario for me. If we're still in the latter stages of the Europa League, to wrap up finishing like we are mathematical, we can finish no lower than fifth, and fifth is the Champions League. Okay, that's done now. Kind of forget the Premier League because we've got a Europa League quarter-final to look ahead to, or a semi-final if it's a little bit later. I mean, you can put all your eggs into we've qualified for the Champions League, but now let's go and win a trophy in the same season basket. I don't know whether it will work out as perfectly as that. Obviously, if we keep winning games, it's absolutely possible. Were you just doing the maths there on when we could Yeah,
if you're going to say if you're going to say wrap it up in April, which is a madness. But so the first game we play in April in the league is after the international break in March, which is 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's about 13, 14 games basically from now until then. And to hit around that 70-point mark, you're probably looking at 10 wins, 9 wins, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
So you're gonna have to win. You're gonna have to win around 10 of 13 to wrap it up by the time we play Nottingham Forest at home. Yeah, which is the first game in April. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be about 6 or 7 games before the end of the season. So,
that seems too few to me because to wrap it up mathematically, you'd have to be 21 points ahead of the team below you.
Oh no! So when it's wrap it up, I'm just talking 70 points is almost always enough to finish in the top 5. Yeah. I can't see Man United, but I don't think it's going to be mathematical wrap it up. But you're going to be so far and away of whoever else that you can probably chip out another win or two, even in that run. I don't know what it would be mathematically, but you'd have to be on an even better run of form for that probably. But look, listen, I just think Villa's home matches, the games that they have coming up at home, they're not bad, and considering the form that we've shown, I don't even have any sort of don't jinx it or whatever. Like, well, we've won, what is it? I'm pretty sure it's like 12 in a row at home now. No, it's not.
No, it can't be that many with Palace. We only lost one game at home in 2025.
Yeah, there was a stat that pulled out earlier and I can't quite remember what it was. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We've won a lot of games. I think it's maybe 12 of the last 14 or something like that. But home games coming up: Forest, Everton, Brentford, Brighton, Leeds, Chelsea, West Ham, Sunderland, and then Tottenham. It's not bad.
I think you could win every game at home.
Yeah, well, no, you could, and I think if you have that as your aim and we do it, we'll be fine. We could lose all of the away games, but you've still got Wolves to play away, and a couple of other sides that are back us to win. So back us to beat. Sorry, like Burnley. I think towards the back end of the campaign they could be down by then nearly. So there's more than enough in it for us to, in theory, wrap it up before the end of the season. And we need it as well because Liverpool at home, then possibly the Europa League final and Man City, as we said in the previous episode. That's a bit of a mental end to the season, isn't it? So, what was your prediction again, Dan?
We're meant to win all 3.
What was your prediction?
I think I said we'd finish in the top 4 and win the Europa League.
No,
I said that we would. I think I said that we'd already be qualified for the Champions League before the Liverpool game, so those final 2 wouldn't matter, and then we'd go on and win the Europa League as well. I think was my prediction.
Yeah.
Don't know if I still believe that, but I'll stick with it for now. Next one, there's actually 3 here. 4, in fact, that are all about transfers. I can't read them out all in one go, but I feel like I kind of need to because I feel like we need to park transfers for a little bit. Let's get Arsenal and Forest out of the way and then maybe focusing on transfers a little bit. So I will do them all very quickly, so forgive me for speaking for the next 5 minutes or so. From Charles Krulak, first of all. Thoughts on any specific names that we could add in January to kick us on for the title charge? Wink. Would Brennan Johnson, with a loan to buy obligation, kick us on? Your thoughts, please. Nick in New York City. Forgive me for being overly American-brained with this one, but Josh Sargent of Norwich has scored a good amount of goals over the last year, and their team is going nowhere. Would he be a decent lottery ticket for Villa to provide cheap forward depth? Would he be that cheap? I'm unsure. I mean, he's very, very good for me on Football Manager. He scored like 25 goals in 25 games or something.
Are you managing Villa?
Norwich. No, I'm Norwich manager, mate. Top of the league, my first season, absolutely flying. Next question from the England cap that Mark Draper deserved. There's talk of Villa needing January signings and maybe to be proper title challengers, the squad could be beefed up. But, I like this one, maybe the answer is already in the squad. Villa are in this position with Watkins firing blanks and Sancho mostly playing a background act. Chelsea feels like it could be a turning point. Watkins looks sharp, confident and happy, and Sancho bossed the middle and made some great runs. If Chelsea was the turning point for these two, they could almost be a huge addition to the team for Villa in the second half of the season. We'll come back to that. Finally, from James in Bromsgrove. Last year, John identified Geertruida as a potential transfer target and was correct. Was he? Not sure if it needs its own show, but I'd love John's top 5 targets for January. So, having said all that, I do think we'll talk more widely about transfers in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Go on, just give me a bit of a transfer roundup before we come back to that Sancho and Watkins thing.
Yeah, well, again, flexibility is going to be limited because of, SCR more than anything else. Even Villa getting the Champions League next season, we know what happened previously, selling Luis, selling Diaby. And, of course, last January they make £100 million as well, didn't they? Duran, Carlos. If they're going to do that this time, they're going to be selling a big player in their starting 11. Duran, Carlos and Philogene weren't starting 11 players, or at least 2 of them weren't. So Villa don't have too many assets for me that they can just sell this in this window and not feel the effects of it. Villa, we know, are trying to do something. Of course, Alisson is expected to sign. Whether he makes an impact in the first team from the off, we'll see. But yeah, I think it depends mainly. What does Unai want? Does he want experience or does he want youth? Because either one can be cheap in terms of transfer fees. Wages, that's a different story. But I don't expect us to be splashing money around, because then you're going to have to make up for that in this same financial year in the summer, and maybe Villa have a plan to do that anyway. But for me, it has to be a forward that comes in, because, as I mentioned previously, I think this isn't necessarily to replace Watkins, it's to help him and take the load off him, which I think is really important. So for that reason, a forward needs to come in for me. I think elsewhere in the squad, I think you're pretty well set. Right back's a bit of a concern. I think you can maybe get around it in the second half of the season, but one injury to Cash for more than a couple of games, or a suspension more than a couple of games, and I think you do have trouble, because I think Bogard is more naturally a midfielder. Garcia hasn't kicked the ball yet. Maybe he does against Arsenal, but I think Bogard will probably likely go in there.
We'll come to that at the end. Yeah,
but apart from there, I think the midfield, right now, if you're not losing players, the midfield's fine. Your centre-back options are fine. Your left-back department's fine. Goalkeeper fine. Right-back, you probably make do. Wingers, for me, I've said it before, that we need someone of a different profile, like Alisson. But is he ready? Let's find out. I'm happy with what Buendia has done so far this season. Elliott will obviously not be playing for Villa, very likely anyway, next half of the season. So, yeah, they'll have a little bit of wiggle room, Villa, from that in terms of wages. What I think will be interesting even more is, do they take a bit of a risk, I suppose, in pushing even further now, to get over the line in the Europa League? Can they sustain a title bid? Those are the kind of conversations that will be had. I'm always pessimistic. Not pessimistic. I'm always. I think it's really important to be sensible, especially with our finances. Not our finances, but more so the rules. We can be back to we can spend money if the rules allowed it. They don't allow it, so we can't because of revenue. So, yeah, be sensible. We have a summer window coming up. That's when I always would want to do the bulk of our business. That's when your priority targets likely will be more attainable, when you can properly assess the squad, what surgery needs to happen. Do you need to replace someone over the course of a season rather than just a few months? So yeah, January is always an opportunity. And Villa, we always say this, and within the club, it's always we are active. It's just, can we make things happen? And that has always been the difficulty for Villa.
And Villa have put themselves in a good position because they will be making waves amongst players and agents of, you know what, I'm struggling at X club. I could probably do a job at Villa though. And I'd quite like to work under Emery because
they win. Well, yeah,
maybe they win every week. Can you get me a move to Villa in January on loan? Or
well, this is it. Like, we're
for the summer because Villa are now a more attractive proposition than they would have been in September.
Yeah, and we are a very attractive club for many different reasons. We obviously restricted to a point, but we do pay good wages. It's Villa Park, it's Unai Emery, it's one of the best teams in European football right now. There's a lot going for us. The only issue is simply the financials, because if you want to bring a good player to your football club, the likelihood is that they're probably a good player for that team as well. Yeah. But mentioned on the live show, and I think in the previous episode, that I don't think it needs to be a world beater to come in and do a job. Look at Lindelof, that's a free transfer, and a deadline day free transfer at that. Sancho, a deadline day loan, and he's taken a bit of a while and still fantastic against Chelsea, I thought, but that isn't kind of room to suggest that he'll be kind of flying in the second half of the season. I hope he is, and I hope he is a new signing, or feels like that, as the question asked. There's other players as well who have done very well that I don't think we expected to. So listen, whatever happens, I think that we will be stronger for it, and I think that's an important kind of point to make. I'd like to think we're not going to be weaker after the January window. We're probably going to be stronger. How much stronger? I'm not sure. How much stronger do we need to be to do what we want to do in the second half of the season? That's another question, because again, European football, injuries, pressure, expectancy, all those different things will arrive at our doorstep. So it's an important January, but also not one that I'm particularly worried about or concerned about. I'm just, pretty laid back about it, to be honest. I'd like to think that we're going to, manage it as well as we can.
Okay. I'm going to have a really short answer to this one from Jolyon Lescott. What will it take for us to finally get some respect from the major media? For instance, the jokers on ESPN said that we beat Chelsea because we were lucky, even though we had more than double the number of shots on target. If this were Man United, we'd be reading countless breathless puff pieces about how Amorim is the next Guardiola. At this point, I'm going to stop watching their coverage. And my answer is, do. Stop it,
mate. Citizen journalism. You've all got a voice. Social media. You don't have to listen to us if you don't want to. You choose.
Well, they are 50 minutes into this episode, so they've done a fair whack so far.
I'll be like, you choose what you want to consume. If you disagree with it, then I get it though, because if they've got the broadcast rights and they're churning out rubbish, that is frustrating. So I get it, but at the same time, don't take what they're saying seriously. I
feel the same way when
you don't beat. Sorry, you don't beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge with luck. You just don't.
No, I feel the same way when you get a commentary team or a co-commentator that is weirdly biased against Villa. It feels like, and they're probably not, but a few kind of like bitey comments where you feel like, have you even watched us over the last few years? Like, why are you even saying that? Like, you kind of get the vibe that they haven't done their homework, or a pundit stands there and gives 60 seconds of very bare basics analysis. And I'm not suggesting that we give analysis that's perfectly flawless, but just like they've watched a couple of games and Villa do a high line and they press a bit, and it's like, come on, if you really watch enough for us to give that opinion. So I think things that are optional is probably the wrong word, because I know people want to consume as much about their club as possible, but things that are optional, like, I don't know, like the overlap or Gary Lineker's podcast or something, if you listen to some of that and think, that was a load of crap, stop listening then. You don't have to listen to it. I know you want to get into as much video as you can, but there's too many people out there that don't know enough about our club as we all do, and it is frustrating to hear them talk shit, basically.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't blame them, because it is very. I don't watch. I don't watch Palace. I don't watch Everton because I have no time to. So don't. If someone asks me about it, I don't expect anyone to be listening to me and thinking it's an absolutely valid thing. You can have a perspective on different things about other clubs, but ultimately, I go to either reporters who watch them every week or fan channels who watch them every week, because that is a to a point, a biased opinion, but also one that I take more value in than, I don't know, a person who is simply asked a question on whatever media channel it is, and they don't give an answer that is particularly qualified. Sometimes it's not their fault, but yeah, I get it. It can be a shame.
It is difficult to give a kind of bare basic level on 20 clubs as opposed to just a good level on one club. I understand it's a difficult job, but it's still frustrating. From River Costello next, utterly love the podcast, gents. Based off the back of the Villa-Chelsea game and others, but particularly this one, I really saw that although Rodgers didn't score or assist, he was pivotal in what we did, and I'm even talking defensively. Name me one other fancy number 10, if you like, that would sprint back from one box to another just to stop the opposition having a chance at goal. Would you have seen Palmer or Foden do that? I'm not so sure. How valuable is this trait? And how much do you think it's due to the all-time high buy-in factor Emery probably has right now? I think that is an interesting point, that last part. I listen to Emery and watch Emery's matches and then hear him speak and see him throw his coat around and think, I would run through a brick wall for this man, and I'm a fan who can do nothing. If you're in that dressing room, even if your legs are a bit knackered or you've whatever it is, you just give absolutely everything, don't you, to try and get the club over the line.
Yeah, and a lot of the players that we speak to, a lot of them say that it's actually when Villa are winning that he's more demanding and he's more fiery and he wants more. And it's actually when they aren't winning that he's a bit more arm around the shoulder, a bit more forgiving.
That's interesting, don't you think?
Yeah, but equally it makes total sense knowing Unai, knowing the club that we've become. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't. I do,
but I do find it interesting because you would naturally think there's more work to be done when we're losing. There's more to fix, but his standards are so high, I guess, that when we're winning, it's how do we maintain that?
Yeah, I think it's to keep the players humble and to keep them grounded. The guy's got so much experience; he talks about it all the time, and I'm a very different part of this. But even I am sort of learning different facets to his management skills, if that makes sense. Just by obviously listening to him. Nearly daily, but fresh conversations, I don't know, maybe once or twice a week. But even then, I'm learning things, and I think even man management or whatever it may be, and it's really fascinating. And that's one element that I've sort of taken from it. And really, are you all right standing up still, Dan? I'm
fine. I'm just kind of stretching a little bit. Keeping the blood flow going.
Nice. But that is one facet to it that has really fascinated me, as you say, but also doesn't surprise me because this is just the man. He's so intense. Rodgers knows that he's getting a bomb if Villa win the game, but he didn't chase his man back. It's not going to be pretty for him after the game, even if he assists that goal, because the standards are so high. And we know that those standards need to stay high because we've seen this team underperform as well when the standards haven't been very high and when they haven't played with fight and with cohesion in terms of defending. Think back to that Sunderland goal now. Could you imagine the rocket that went up their arse?
Players are lazy.
Yeah, but at the same time, maybe it didn't, and it was up to the players to, they know that was unacceptable. Emery obviously had a few choice words in the media, but I would have thought that even before then, he doesn't have to say too much. His players know because it's now in the dressing room. They police themselves to a point. They know the standards that are set now. If it comes off track, Emery will stamp his foot down, no doubt. But it's, when Villa are winning, that's when it's more of a intense environment just to keep going, keep performing and keep getting the results. Performances get the results. And that's why at the start of the season, Emery wasn't so fussed about the results. It was the performances. Sorry, the other way around. Oh, well, I've got myself in the right mess here. The result... can you cut this out?
Okay, let's move on. Lily next says, I think people are very harsh on Kamara and Tielemans when they have an off match or even a couple. If anyone should be given a bit of leniency, it's those two who have played 90 or 180 minutes of season-saving football almost every single week for quite a while. Now, I do agree with this to a point. I probably am quite harsh on certain players, more so than others, when they don't perform well. But I think that's because I've got such high standards for the likes of a Kamara and Tielemans that if they're not to that level...
Yeah.
I don't know, like Kamara's probably played a game, because I don't think those two have been great over the last, not necessarily the last couple of weeks, every single game in that couple of weeks have not been good, but they've had their off day here and there. But they've probably still played, like, relative to other players, like a good 7 out of 10 or 7.5 out of 10 or something. But because I know how good they can be, I'm expecting to be like a 9, and when they're not, it's like, oh, he was crap today. He probably wasn't really, but I'm just holding them to such a high level.
Yeah. Probably not the best example here, but I do remember when Rodgers was starting to get back into the groove of things, he was actually playing well. But because we know he can play even better, we weren't even saying it. It was still, he's doing it right, but this quite didn't, this didn't work well. I think it's the same for Tielemans and Kamara. I don't actually think they had bad games. I'm not totally sure. Is this the Chelsea match?
Possibly not. Maybe this was sent in before.
Yeah, okay, but I think that's still fundamental to what we do. That even there, a poor game for them is still probably one of our better players, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'm not like, Kamara's missing Arsenal. Oh, well, he's not been very good recently. I'd absolutely rather still have him.
Yeah, and I think if they're playing poorly, our team probably plays poorly because they're so fundamental. So, that is it. We raise them to such a high level because we know what they're capable of, and that goes for most of the team, I think. But especially those two players, because we know that they are capable of probably playing for any team in the world, I'd suggest, in some capacity.
Okay, only a couple more left, John, and I can go and have a sit down. This one's from Alan Wright's Dog Walker. The Chelsea game summed up my feelings about Ollie Watkins. Forget the goals. The whole team played much better when he came on. There seems to be a pattern. When Watkins is on the pitch, the whole 11 seems to click. They press better, they create more space. And I get that our number 9 needs to score more goals, but the most important thing is that the whole team plays well and wins football matches. Can you guys give some tactical insight into why we seem to be better with Watkins on the pitch?
He fits the structure down to a T. I'm shocked it's taken this long for us to get into some Ollie Watkins loving, but we have spoken about this many times, and I don't want to go over old ground, but it was us talking when Watkins wasn't scoring, and Emery says it as well in his press conferences, that still what he gives to the team is still invaluable, and it will always be that way. He doesn't have to score to make an impact in this team. And where are we? We're third in the Premier League, 36 out of 39 points. Watkins has played most of those minutes, but still gets criticised. Like, you can't operate in this team and not play well and be as bad as what some people think he has been. I don't see that. Yeah, he's not scoring as many goals as we'd like him to, but over the course of the season, he will make some significant contributions in goals, but also in terms of what he gives away from that as well. So it's hold-up play, it's running channels, which is very good at. It's occupying defenders, is hold-up play. In some matches, I can hear the whole and now groan when the ball is taken away from him. But there'll also be 3 or 4 times where he does it successfully, and there's very little sort of made of it. Marlon had 5 touches in the first half. It's not criticism of him. I just don't think he's capable of doing that role. I think his best moments have come off Watkins, which says something about Watkins. I said it a lot after that Burnley game. I don't think Marlon scores either of those goals without Watkins' movement and taking defenders away. So I just...
And I know the other players came on as well, Sancho and Onana, but it didn't feel coincidental to me that when Watkins comes on and stretches games and stretches the defence, that I was texting Bardell because we did the post-match together, and I was like, we've suddenly got a bit more space to play, and it seems like there's more expansion here to play into, and I think that's not solely down to Watkins, but certainly part of it.
He's a clever footballer, Watkins, and in the last 3 years of what he's done to help us as a team progress, he did not just lose that overnight. He didn't, and I think some people thought he probably did. That's never going to be the case. Yeah, his goals have dried up a little bit. Still got 5 in half the season. Do that again, and he's in double figures. A couple more, and he's nearly at the point in which he was last season and the season before the other one. So it's fine. What he gives to the team is worth much more for me than just the goals himself. If Ollie Watkins only scored those goals and gave half the performance that he gives away from that, I'd probably drop him. Do you know what I mean? It's everything else that he provides to the team that's so important. What I said there makes sense, but also what I'm trying to say is that he doesn't score the goals without the work that he puts in off the ball. It's his movement. It's his link-up play. He makes chances himself. There's a reason why he is criticised a lot for missing some big opportunities, but again, there's a reason why he gets in those spaces in the first place. So, yeah, and against Chelsea, obviously the first goal, that's the little bit of luck he didn't have at the start of the season. And the header is taken well as well. So
I thought he just played well generally, though, just apart from being the match winner and scoring the goals. I thought his impact to the side was really
very similar to the Tottenham game away from home, where again, I thought it was excellent. Villa don't win that game without Watkins making the impact. So this is what I keep saying in January.
Yeah, good shout.
I'm not replacing Ollie to bring in a new forward. It's to actually help the team, because Ollie Watkins playing 30 minutes at the end of a game to that level, that's what wins you matches against Tottenham and Chelsea away from home. If he had started either of those games, maybe he plays for 60 minutes and he doesn't have the impact that we need. So, yeah, it's to help the overall team and Ollie as well, for me, to bring in that new striker who can play more so to the style that he has operated at the top of the pitch, rather than Marlon, who I think does something a bit different.
I'm going to use this next question then to do a little bit of an Arsenal preview, because we won't do a fan zone. We're not back into the swing of things fully yet. We're just doing the post-match reactions and the Q&As for the time being. This is from Austin McPhee's yellow card, which was fantastic, by the way. I saw it back on Twitter this morning. I didn't really catch what was happening in real time, apart from that it was, somebody from the subs bench has been booked. It's little rolling the ball back onto the pitch to delay the start. You can't teach it, John, can you? You can't teach the far.
I'll be totally honest. I thought he was trying to get the ball back into play and hurry it up.
I'm sure he was, yeah. I'm sure he was. Austin McPhee's yellow card, anyway, says, does Sancho deserve a start against Arsenal with Bogard at right back? Or do we hope for a late Christmas miracle where Garcia plays for the first time in 8 months and hope he fits in seamlessly? Obviously, we're without Matty Cash and Kamara. Those are the big two little bits and pieces. Yeah. Obviously, Watkins, you'd expect him to now start the game, given the goals he scored. Mm-hmm. You've got Maatsen now, who looks like it's his shirt rather than Dean's, but Dean's still a valid option. Pau Torres, is there any murmurs that he could be back for Arsenal, do you know?
Press conference on Monday, so...
Oh, there is a press conference. Okay, fine.
Yeah, we'll see then.
We'll see then. That would be nice. It'd be nice to have him back and fit and ready to play and start, but we'll see where we are with that one as well. People listening to this will know later today. So what would you do in terms of team selection? You've got Bogard right back, you've got Konsa right back. Garcia right back, I guess, but that would be a real bolt from the blue, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think the midfield's an interesting one as well, because who do you bring back, McGinn or Tielemans, in that double pivot? And
so Onana starts.
Onana starts, yeah. I'm leaning, and this is because I'm playing Bogard at right back. I don't see Garcia playing a right back in a Arsenal way. You play Tielemans in the double pivot with...
I'd go Onana, Tielemans, Bogard right back, Konsa, Lindelof. I think if Pau is fit, it's Konsa, Pau and Lindelof probably plays right back.
I'm not against McGinn playing in that double pivot with Onana.
No, I'm not either, but I think Tielemans and Onana is more familiar. McGinn plays on the right to help cover whoever's playing right back, and obviously drops into midfield as well.
Yeah, and that's obviously a valid point, because without Gesson as well, you have limited defensive cover on that right side. If you put it this way, if McGinn plays in the double pivot, who are you playing as your front, as your support access, I guess, in terms of the three? It's Rodgers, Tielemans and Buendia, because I don't think Sancho will start. Yeah. I don't think he'll start.
I don't think he will. I think he's better at the moment coming off the bench. He's not started a league game yet for us, has he? So, yes, he had a good cameo, but to come and start away at Arsenal is still a bit too soon, I think, for me. We need to see a little bit more. So Watkins starts, Rodgers obviously starts, McGinn starts somewhere, Tielemans and Nana will start somewhere as well. So the other places available, would that be Buendia, do you think?
It has to be Buendia to come in, right? I don't think we've got another... I mean, Sancho would be the only other one. Marlon too, but again, I think you're stripping away...
Front away at Arsenal.
I think you're stripping away your options on the bench then. So if I had to take a stab at it, it would be Martinez, Bogard right back, Konsa, Lindelof, or Pau if fit, but presumably Lindelof. Maatsen and Dean, I mean, it's not a massive topic, but interesting that Maatsen's playing so much. Last 5 league games, I think. But now, because this game is such a short turnaround, maybe Dean plays. But either way, Tielemans and Arna, I think, that's probably right. And then McGinn, Buendia, Rodgers, Watkins.
Yeah. Buendia, I'm still not 100% on sticking Buendia in there, but I don't think there's much other choice.
Who do you play? It's Marlon or it's Sancho, if not.
Yeah, Buendia's probably got the most faith this season, I guess, and will work hard and things. But I just wonder, I think he's better suited for the home games, Buendia.
Yeah, I get it. But this is why I talk about European knockouts as well, because let's just think, you've got Lyon in the quarterfinals away next after Arsenal or whatever it is, or that you then all of a sudden thinking about, but if he plays here, then he'll be tired for them. that's a completely different conversation. So I'm just putting that out there. Of course, we do actually play Forest, relatively quick turnaround as well, on Saturday.
Yeah.
Early kickoff as well, and that won't be in a straightforward match either, because I have some good players and they're in a low position. But yeah, we'll see. But it's just a shame that you can't go into that with your full squad, the Arsenal match, because I think if we did, I'd back us to get something out of the game. But I also think it is a bit of a free hit, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to go with the FH. Is it free hit territory just because of the unavailability to Kamara and Cash and potentially Powell still, that you're almost struggling to put an 11 together because they're still good players, but we're significantly weaker without those two in positions that are really quite light, really. No one can replace Kamara. Nobody can replace Cash, pretty much full stop. We don't have anyone of that kind of profile. So if you were to lose this game, which is perfectly feasible, and this is the end of the winning run, which I'm sure Arsenal fans will take great delight in. Again, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media for them of, 11 games, we've got to end that run. You're part of the run, mate. We beat you a few weeks ago. I think you've all forgotten that. You had a chance to stop it at 6 or 7 or whatever it was, and you didn't.
You're part of the run.
So they could absolutely end it, and I'm not going to say, that's fine. It doesn't matter, because I want to win every game. But if we are to lose to current top of the league and it opens up a bit of a gap, and Villa are out of the title race, we knew when it gets when they got to a sticky away game, it would all come tumbling down. Whatever, say what you like. That could happen. I then expect us to go and beat Forest and maybe get something against Palace and start another little run.
Oh, steady
something at Palace, or I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But the point is, this will not define whether we're going to finish in the top 4 or not. It will not define whether we're in or out of the title race, really. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go. Well, it doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. But if we do lose, I'm not going to be like, it's just okay. Well, we go again.
I'm still very much treating this period of the season is just every match. It's not. I'm not coming to conclusions after it. As I said earlier, we could win whatever scoreline against Arsenal. I'm not committing that we're going to win the league or anything like that, because you're not. Title race for me doesn't exist until April. It just doesn't. It's springtime. That's when you can have those conversations. But just on that, in terms of free hit, I view it as because of the points that we've racked up in the last 3 months, and the fact that we have such a big gap. I can listen to the post. I mean, hopefully we wouldn't, if we lose, it's not in controversial circumstances or anything, but one of the first things you'll probably say on a post-match, Dan, would be, well, we're still at least 7 points ahead of 4th or 5th or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a mental gap to have. So the fact that we're 10 points, I'm almost telling myself that we're not, in case we don't beat Arsenal. So it doesn't feel as well. But it's a crazy gap. We could be 3 or 4 points inside the top 4, and I'd be delighted about it. With 10,
same. Yeah, I'd quite like any one match week to not affect our league position.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We are just in a state at the moment of we've done so well that when it does come to an end, we'll be okay. It's just about then how do we react? And that's why I say Forest, I think it's an important game, because whatever happens against Arsenal, if you beat them, you got to get up again for Forest. That you haven't 3 points against Forest is also 3 points against Arsenal. It's just as important. But if you lose, again, it's a psychological thing of, okay, get back in the saddle, go again. In front of your home fans, kind of dust off the cobwebs a little bit and start a new winning run. That's the mentality we need to have with it. So the Arsenal match is don't like to call any game a free hit, but I can't lie, that's exactly how I feel. It's
about as free hit as you can get away with. To top of the league with suspensions and a massive points buffer.
Yeah, and the fact you've beaten them a few weeks ago. So, all they're going to do is level with us in terms of head-to-head as such, if we lose the game. And by the way, we can go there and win still. I do have a bit of a theory about suspensions and injuries and whatnot, that it's never as bad as what it makes it out to be. Like, you lose power, and we've won 3 games, or maybe 4, West Ham, Basel, this match, and Man United. So I think it's 4. It's never as bad as what you think it is. If we had power, we'd probably win the games, maybe more comfortably. I don't know, or just in a different way. I think if you maybe lost Rodgers or Watkins, maybe that changes the dynamic slightly. But we can cope with injuries. We've done it before. We did it when we finished 4th. We had loads of injuries at one point, didn't we? We were missing so many players. I think we'll be fine. And again, the Arsenal match, free it, go after them, pressure off, completely pressure off for me. Pressure on Arsenal, which would be interesting. A long way to go this season, and we're in a brilliant position to complete our League mission, Europa League mission, different mission, a mission, sorry, that we must complete as well. But
I say mission once more.
Did I say mission?
Yeah, you said mission like 5 times in about 10 seconds there. Right, I think we're done, John.
I think so, yeah.
We've been recording for an hour 13, but I will chop enough out to make it 1 hour and 11 minutes. I'll make that happen. Thoroughly enjoyed that. A big bumper episode, as surely everybody expected. We won 11 games in a row, for Christ's sake. The next video that we do will be the post-match show for Arsenal. That'll be Tuesday late. That'll be me and Kendrick for that one. Hopefully, I mean, imagine it. We'll talk about 12 in a row. Christ, that's not even worth thinking about. If you haven't caught up with anything we've done over the Christmas break, we did the Christmas special, the quiz. That's still absolutely valid, and you can go and watch that if you haven't had a chance yet. That's great fun. We did the live show at Hockley, which was like just hit my mic. The live show at Hockley, which was just a standard Q&A. A lot of January chat in there, to be fair. So if you didn't catch that yet, you can go and see that. And there's also the Dean Smith episode, obviously the big interview. And on Sunday afternoon, we posted a behind-the-scenes video as well that was some of the build-up to the recording of the planning and we're really nervous. And me and Matt did like a 10-minute post-podcast debrief as well. We sat in the studio about 10 minutes after Dean left and was like, was that good? What did you think? And that video has all come out on Sunday as well. So if you want to go and see our thoughts, that's YouTube only for those that are Spotify or Apple Podcast listeners. So, John, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of the Claret and Blue podcast. Thank you for watching along or listening wherever you are as well. Oh, one final question, John, from Jer in Cork. It can't go on like this, can it?
It can.
Hey, thank you very much for watching or listening. We'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.